And for more on the hearing and the public relations campaign for this Iran nuclear deal, we're joined by Farhad Alavi, an international law expert. Thank you so much for joining us. Some tough words from U.S. lawmakers on this Iran nuclear deal. We've been hearing it all day. The president has threatened to veto if Congress votes no. But what happens if his veto cannot be held? Is it time to start over then?
Well, if the Congress can override that veto, then the whole game changes. But the reality is that, as Secretary Kerry said today, that there is this consensus on this deal. It's not just the United States and Iran bilaterally, but it's the P5+1. And something that could compromise that consensus could obviously not only compromise the deal, but also the U.S.'s position vis-a-vis its allies in negotiating this deal, which has taken so many years. Well,
that being said, it's not just the U.S. and Iran, it's China, Russia.
Right.
Is it possible, though, to take the United States out of the equation and still have something hold?
I think that part of the successes of the sanctions program over the years has been the consensus that the United States has been able to round up between the other P5+1 members and in the Security Council of the UN. And with this agreement, the other parties have been placated and they have essentially gotten what they wanted. And the question becomes, will they want to meet the U.S. halfway even at this point? I think that they've gotten what they wanted, and I think that this would put the United States in a very compromised position because the European consensus, for example, for sanctions or the Chinese and Russian positions will not be aligned with the United States anymore. And I think that now that they've gotten what they wanted, it's going to be very difficult to get all the stars aligned one more time.
It's not just the United States and the Obama administration sort of making its case to the people. Iran is doing the same thing.
Sure.
Foreign Minister Zarif addressed Iran's Congress this week, and so he's trying to placate a lot of hardliners still there. And it seems like both are sort of facing similar circumstances.
Sure. I mean, both administrations, the Rouhani administration and the Obama administration, have their own critics, and naturally there are many parties on both sides and in third countries as well that are very much opposed to the notion of any kind of detente between the U.S. and Iran. And naturally, in the United States and Iran, both constituents have to be placated, and obviously, and the criticisms must be addressed. But it's quite clear that both administrations do have this challenge. There's a lot that's been said and done over the past 36, 37 years, and to change that overnight will be quite challenging. That said, I think that overall there is consensus in both countries to some extent to move forward, and I think that this criticism will be short-lived in the long run.
I want to get your reaction to what we mentioned earlier about Saudi Arabia offering words of support, because there has been this sort of charm offensive, as we've been calling it, by the Obama administration to visit the region and also talk to some neighbors there.
Sure.
Is this encouraging?
Oh, it's absolutely very encouraging. I mean, there's been a deep suspicion of Iran's geopolitical motives in the region predating the Iranian Revolution, even during the Shah's time. And the fact that if Saudi Arabia gets on board with this will be a very large step in favor of the administration's position on this, as Saudi Arabia is the largest U.S. ally in the region. So I view this as very positive, and I think that you might see many other GCC states move aligned with Saudi Arabia as well.